right, we are live and recording. So, hope you guys are having a great day. Really excited for this little talk. Might get a little spicy in this one. I don't know, just feeling fired up. Feeling like spitting some truth to you guys this week today. So, this recording, this episode, this live, it's going to be about 4 uncomfortable truths that are probably true in a lot of your lives, if not your life, as to why you're not making progress, especially when it comes to weight loss. So let's go ahead and just dive in. Some of these things have been things that I've seen with clients, whether past or present clients. Some of these things have been things that I've seen with just other people like online posting about their struggles, or private conversations I've had with people in the DMs on Facebook, Instagram, wherever. So let's dive in. Like I said, we're going to get a little bit real with this one. Some of these things, I don't know if they're going to be offensive. I feel like I'm somebody who I don't really offend people much, but hopefully they hit you a little hard and make you think about, your own life, maybe how you're approaching things yourself, and give you a little bit of a wake-up call, especially kind of ending 2024, getting close to the new year, if you want to make a change. So number one is that you're using other people as a weapon or an excuse to not make a change. So this could be from, your kids saying, oh, my kid, they just won't eat healthy food, so I have to make them chicken nuggets, and then they have chicken nuggets, and then I end up having a couple because he doesn't finish his, so I don't want to waste the food. Like, when you say things like that, you're putting the control of your progress in whether or not your kid ends up eating the same things that you were trying to eat, or ends up finishing their plate. Other examples of this are, and I literally just had a conversation about a client today about this similar situation, which is people at work, your boss, your other coworkers, they have, especially around this time of year, maybe Christmas parties. They're going to pressure you to eat certain things. They're going to pressure you to drink certain things. And you allowing that to impact your decisions that you want to make with the food that you eat and the alcohol or not alcohol that you drink, that is going to set you back on your progress. Like saying, oh, I have to drink at this event because if not, everyone's going to look at me weird. They're not going to have a great time because I'm not drinking. That is a made up story that you're probably putting in your head. Will they maybe make some comments and maybe judge? Maybe. But if they do, they'll get over it. They'll move on. I guarantee if you decide to not drink at this year's Christmas party at work, a year from now, 2 years from now, nobody's ever going to remember. And if they do, that's on them. Like, that is their problem. Like, this is your life and your body and your goals, and you could not put your results in somebody else's hands, especially somebody else's hands who, like, they're not paying your bills. They're not living inside of your body. They're not having to deal with all of the health issues that you might deal with if you continue on with these behaviors and habits. They don't have to deal with the uncomfortable feeling that you have when you wake up in the morning, get dressed, look in the mirror, and hate what you see, looking back at you. They don't have to deal with that. So don't let their influence cause you to make a decision. If you want to go to a Christmas party for work and you want to enjoy bunch of tasty food, you want to enjoy some alcohol because you want to do it, that's a different story. But if you are doing it simply to appease other people, like, you're never going to get to the result that you want if you keep that mentality going. And it's likely probably what has gotten you to the point where you are now is feeling like you're, always trying to please other people and choosing, your food choices or your alcohol choices or drink choices based off of that. And at the same time, a lot of people and a lot of you may be listening to this, you might even be using those quote unquote reasons or those situations as simply excuses. Instead of being able to own up and say, I like to drink when I go out with my coworkers. I like to eat really high calorie, tasty foods when I go to restaurants with them. Instead of just owning up to that and realizing, oh, it's the things that I'm choosing to do myself, which is, causing me to stray away from my goal or causing me to gain weight or not be able to lose weight. You lean into this victim mentality almost of, these people are pressuring me and I can't, make myself look bad in front of them, or like my boss is going to judge me, or this or that. Like, are they going to fire you off of you choosing not to drink alcohol at, the yearly Christmas party? If so, I probably wouldn't want to work there anyway, because if somebody who's going to fire you over not drinking alcohol when you're trying to prioritize yourself and your goals and your health, it's not the type of person I want to work with. And honestly, and this was something I told my client, people should be far more respectful of your choices, especially when it comes to alcohol, because they don't know what you're dealing with behind the scenes. They don't know, maybe you had a family member that struggled with alcoholism. Maybe you struggled with alcoholism and, in your own life. Maybe, you had parents that did. Maybe alcohol is a very sensitive thing to them or to you. They don't know that. Maybe that's not the case, but like I said, they don't know that. And if they're going to nudge you and badger you and get on you about that, and like, you need to tell them, sorry for my language, but you need to tell them to fuck off, honestly, because this is your body. These are the things that you are putting into yourself. And like alcohol, high calorie food, whatever. And I hate to use the word poison, but if you are in a spot where you are overweight to a point where it's damaging your health, and if you don't make a change, you're going to end up, dealing with diabetes in a few years. You're going to end up dealing with heart disease, heart issues, and that's going to really significantly impact your life. If you're in that boat and you're allowing these people to like influence you to drink certain things or eat certain things when you like feel like you truly don't want to, like, you're essentially allowing them to continue to poison you and hurt your own health. Like, if someone were to give you a glass of poison, are you going to drink it just because that they are like nudging you and saying, hey, I'm going to judge you if you don't do this? Probably not. And like, it's an extreme example comparing poison to like food, because food is obviously not poison and we all need food. But the whole thing I'm trying to get at is like, this is your body, this is your health, and if this is truly important to you, you can't let other people's opinions influence you. Other things I've heard are things about like my spouse. My spouse doesn't like to eat healthy, so I have to make something that, and a big thing I hear is talking about husbands, because I work with mostly women. Literally, like, I think all of my clients right now are actually women. And I hear a lot about, their husbands, they don't want to eat healthy, or they don't want to eat this. And like, quite honestly, I don't know, not to ruffle feathers, but like, tell your husbands to grow up a little bit. If they don't want to eat what you're making, especially if you're the person making them, and this is like changing, obviously, with society changing and not like traditional gender roles. And I don't want to get into that conversation, but like, a lot of this is, I work with a lot of women and they have husbands, and the women are a lot of times doing, the cooking, at least the ones that I work with. And it's like, you're the one cooking the food. Like, tell your husband if he doesn't like it, he can cook his own food. But by having that be an excuse or a reason for you to not hit your goals, I think a lot of you almost like weaponize it, and you use it as like a scapegoat where, you almost give yourself permission to fail. And like, you think of all of these reasons. Oh, like, my boss wants me to drink this weekend, or go to this restaurant and, have appetizers when I don't want to. He wants to order me dessert when I don't want it. My husband, he doesn't want to eat healthy food, so I got to eat what he wants to eat. My kids don't finish their chicken nuggets. I can't waste it, so I got to eat it. These are all excuses that we are leaning on, where you do have so much more control over your circumstances and your situations than what you think. So that's number one. That's one uncomfortable truth, is that you're using other people almost as an excuse or a weapon to give yourself a scapegoat as to reasons why you're not getting there, instead of owning up to the fact that you can make decisions and you do have control, and it's not easy always, but you do have it. Number two is, your lack of planning is why you feel like you don't have control so much. And this is something that I've heard from clients, I've heard from other people, but it's just like, you hear about situations where, or I hear feedback from clients sometimes of like, they're doing really well with their nutrition goals Monday through Thursday. Friday, they're doing okay. Saturday rolls around, they go to, like, let's say their kids in some kind of sport that they have events lasting all day. So they go there and, they end up having to stop at McDonald's for breakfast. And then they are at the event and they have all of these like food trucks or like food stands, and they have to try to choose something there. And all they have are hot dogs. And then they get done with their sporting event late, and they're driving home and it's like 8:30, so they have no choice but to drive through fast food, and their kids screaming and all they want is Taco Bell, and they're limited in options and this and that. And so much of this can be avoided by just you simply planning for yourself. Maybe your kid wants to eat McDonald's, maybe your kid wants to eat Taco Bell, and like that's on you and how you want to like parent when it comes to what your kid wants to eat. But you can always control what you eat. And just by simply thinking ahead of, okay, Saturday I have this all day event. Let me get some, yogurt cups that are easy to transport, get a little cooler, put those in there, have a banana in there, maybe some other healthy carbs, have my breakfast all like planned that requires no cooking. Oh, I'm not going to have anything for lunch. Concession stands, probably not going to have the best options. I'm not going to leave it up to chance to them. I'm going to take control myself, and I'm going to make a lunch meat sandwich with lean turkey meat with some low-fat cheese, some veggies on top, some low-calorie, like light dressing for, some kind of sauce or whatever on the sandwich. I'm going to take, some pretzels with a couple of apples, and that's going to be my lunch instead of going to the concession stand. Oh, like we're getting home late. You could either one, bring a couple of protein shakes or protein bars as a backup so you can kind of have that for dinner. Or, think, okay, we're going to be getting done late. There's a good chance my kid's going to want to go through fast food. Let me research like 3 or 4 fast food chain places, look at their menu, find some low calorie, high protein items on there that could at least kind of get me by and not be a terrible choice, for myself. And so you have like that power to go through that exact process early in the week before you even get to this event. And I find that so many of the situations we run into where we don't hit our step goal or we don't get our workouts in for the day, because maybe we were just planning on doing it early in the day and something popped up, or maybe we like had something that we knew was happening in the evening and we're like, I'm just going to try to get it in when this event is over with, when maybe we could have just like, instead of trying to get it in when the event is over with in the evening, we planned ahead, woke up early so we knew for sure we could get that workout in before the day starts. And that way you don't have to put it up to chance like later in the evening. So most of the time when we run into situations where we don't have control, we actually could have had way more control if we just simply plan more ahead. Number 3 is that you don't need more tips or tricks or hacks. You just need more effort. This is a big one. Like, with planning your meals out, making sure you're hitting your calorie and protein ranges, making sure, you're hitting your step goal, making sure you're getting your workouts in. I find sometimes people really overanalyze, okay, like what am I going to fit in my meals? What kind of meal prep am I going to do? What kind of meals am I going to plan together? When am I going to strategically like fit these step goals in or these steps in? When am I going to strategically fit these workouts in? And it's almost like they try to find like the perfect formula for hitting their calories and protein, the perfect formula for hitting their steps, the perfect formula for when to fit their workouts in before actually just simply doing it. And in the beginning, when these behaviors are new to you, when hitting your calorie range, your protein range, your step goal, all this stuff is new, you're never going to find the perfect formula that feels easy because it's just new to you. So it's just going to feel hard. And instead of thinking, okay, like I keep being low on my protein, what are some easy tips, easy ways to get more protein in? There's really no more easy tips. You just have to eat more damn protein. Like just instead of having 3 ounces of chicken, have 6. That's going to get your protein intake up. Instead of having 4 ounces of ground beef, have 6 or 7. Like there's some tips obviously with these things, and there's some strategies that people are just unaware of. But there have been times where, I've worked with so many clients where I've given clients like every tip, trick, strategy in the book to make it as easy as possible. And they've kind of taken them in, and they haven't gone in one ear and out the other. Like, it hasn't been that, but it's been like, hey, like, you have all these tips and tools at your disposal. Now it's just simply doing the thing. And just because you have tips, tools, tips, I said tips like a million times, tips, tricks, tools, and strategies, doesn't mean that it's going to take away all of the effort required to do the thing. Like, it's still going to feel hard in the beginning, and you're still going to have to feel like you're putting in some work to some extent, especially when you're first getting started. So instead of like obsessing and like mentally going through all these mental gymnastics of like, trying to set up your meal prep perfectly, or finding the perfect tip or trick to hit your protein to make it completely effortless, like, just simply eat more damn protein. That's a big one. Just eat more protein. Not necessarily protein, but like the same things with like, I've heard things where, I plan to get my workout in at this time, but then I woke up a little bit late and only had 30 minutes. So I'm like, is that really enough time? So I decided to do it later. And I knew I had this event for my kids' sporting event. So I'm like, I probably only have 30 minutes there. So I'm going to try to do it after. And it's just like this mental, just over analyzing when to do it. It's just like, okay, maybe you woke up late and you only have 30 minutes. Do what you can in the 30 minutes. It's going to suck. It's going to be hard. It's going to feel like effort, but like, you're doing the thing then. And sometimes we just have to do the thing, even if it's messy, even if it's hard. And that's the way you learn to make it easier. You don't learn to make these things easier by sitting on the sidelines and analyzing all the tips and tricks and strategies that you can. You make it easier by jumping into the deep end, feeling how hard it is at first, and then learning the strategies that work with you in your life as you go. That's how you make it easier. So that's number 3. Number 4 is you do things based on how you feel versus what you need to do. So you don't go to the gym because you just didn't feel like it one morning. You didn't eat your protein shake or protein bar or your chicken that you had prepped because you just didn't feel like it and you felt like eating Taco Bell instead. Or I'm really hammering on Taco Bell for some reason today. Maybe I'm craving it. I don't know. But you didn't go for your walk in the morning because you didn't feel like it. You felt like you didn't have the energy. And sometimes you just have to do the thing even when you don't feel like it, even when it's the worst thing possible in your head to do in the moment. You just got to do it. Yesterday, I was finishing up a training session and was doing lower body. And it is a day where I do squats, I do deadlifts, I do leg press, I do Romanian deadlifts then, and then I do leg extension. And like with my training, it's getting pretty intense right now. And I finished squat, deadlift, leg press, and was moving on to the Romanian deadlifts. And that was the entirely last thing I wanted to do. I was sitting there waiting to do my set, and I just was like dragging. And, you just have to learn to do it anyway, regardless of how you feel in the moment, regardless of what's going on. Because if you have a goal that you want to achieve, you have a result that you're trying to get, there is a certain level of inputs that are required to get there. Think of this as like a math equation, right? 1 + 1 = 2, right? You don't get to 2 without the right inputs to get to 2. Like if you do 1 + 0, you're not going to get to 2. If you do 4 - 3, that's going to be 1. That's not going to be 2, right? So there's a certain level of inputs you need to get that result, or get whatever's on the end of that equal sign, the body composition goal or the weight loss goal you're aiming for that to happen. And those inputs have to happen regardless of how you feel, regardless of your mood, regardless of what's going on in your life. Like your body needs these inputs, whether it's a right calorie range, the right amount of protein, the right amount of steps, the right amount of workouts consistently. Your body needs those inputs to get that physical result. And if you keep skipping the gym, not hitting your calorie goal, not tracking your food because you simply don't feel like it, you're never going to get there. Heard this quote that I really love, which is, children do what they want, adults do what they must. So you might not want to pay your mortgage, but you must pay your mortgage to keep your house. You might not want to go to work, but you must go to work to make money to be able to pay your mortgage. You might not want to, you know, change your newborn's diaper at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning, but you must do that. There's so many things in life as adults that we must do to, you know, make sure our baby is getting their diapers changed, making sure our mortgage is paid, making sure, you know, you're making money to be able to buy groceries, survive, buy whatever else you want. Like, there's just simply things in life that we must do to like maintain a certain level of living that we are striving for, depending on your preferences. And if what you are striving for is the level of lifestyle where you are healthy, where you, especially a lot of you have like visual aesthetic goals, like you want to look a certain way, there's a certain level of inputs that are required to get there. And if you keep pushing those off because you don't feel like it, then you're just not going to get there. And it's just, you know, put on your big adult pants and realize this sucks sometimes. I don't want to do this sometimes, but if I want this desired result, then I have to, you know, do the things there to get there. And then number 5 is kind of a maybe unexpected one. Number 5 is that if I showed you what a healthy diet looked like, it would feel like restriction to most people. And there's a lot of nuance and context around this. So I don't want you to just take that statement and think, okay, healthy equals restrictive. So if I'm restricting, then I'm eating healthy. Not necessarily the case. But the average American, their diet is filled with so much processed food, so much, not diet soda, but regular sugar sweetened beverage sodas, so much alcohol, so much fast food, so much eating out, where if they were to see like an influencer, like a fitness influencer's normal diet, who's not even actively trying to lose weight, but just somebody who's eating a diet to maintain their weight, they would look at that and that would feel restrictive to them because they're like, oh, like, where are all the cookies? Where are the like 600 calorie Starbucks muffins, you know, every day? Where's the 500 calorie Starbucks grande, whatever you want to call it? Where's the Taco Bell runs frequently? Where's all this and where's that? And it would feel like restriction to them at first. Once you get used to it and once you do it, you realize how good you feel on it, and you realize that you feel so much better, more energy, you feel more full, all this stuff. But just simply looking at it to somebody who's like hasn't made that transition yet, it would feel like restriction. Or for the average American, it would feel like, oh, that's a restrictive way of eating, because we've just been like, this processed food and all of this has just been so normalized to so many people. And if I were to, let's say, rewind and go back 15, 20 years ago when I was 11 years old, 16 years old, look at my diet then and compare it to now, I would maybe feel that way. I'm eating probably, I don't know if I would say more calories, but I'm eating more total food volume overall. So it's not that I'm restricting calories a ton now, or I'm restricting my food, but like, I don't eat nearly as much processed food as what I did before. I don't eat nearly as much fried foods as what I did before. I eat way more fruits and vegetables instead of things like brownies and cookies all the time. Now, I enjoy them for sure, you know, here and there, absolutely. But like, I think people overestimate how much or underestimate how much processed food they're really eating on a regular daily basis. But then they also overestimate how like much actual calories or food they need to restrict to see progress. They go to the like total extreme end where you don't need to restrict calories or overall food volume that much. You just need to choose better foods, make sure your calories are actually aligned with the goal that you're aiming for, making sure you're eating enough protein, which is going to feel like restriction a little bit because it's not what you're used to. But eventually that will become your new normal. And eventually you'll realize how much more energy you feel eating this way, and also how much more full you are. So those are just kind of 5 uncomfortable truths. Could do like a part 2 in this, maybe even a part 3. Like there are a bunch of other ones that come to mind. So hopefully this was kind of eye-opening, insightful. Hopefully, you know, if you find yourself falling into these things, it was a little bit of a wake-up call too. Hopefully you didn't get offended, but maybe if you did get offended a little bit, maybe that's a good thing. Like maybe it's because it resonated with you and you realize you are kind of making these excuses or doing these things when you do have more control. You could plan more, all of this stuff. Maybe. So appreciate you all. Hope you guys are crushing it. And I will see you guys in the next one.